Israel will never acquiesce to nuclear arms in the hands of a rogue regime that repeatedly promises to wipe us off the map. Against such a threat, Israel will have no choice but to defend itself. I want there to be no confusion on this point. Israel will not allow Iran to get nuclear weapons. If Israel is forced to stand alone, Israel will stand alone.
And a Fox News alert: trouble with the Iran nuke deal just days into this process. The country's foreign minister is now saying that they did not promise to dismantle anything and that the White House misled the people. According to him, Iran's foreign minister saying this, quote, "If you find a single word that even closely resembles dismantling or could be defined as dismantling in the entire text, then I would take back my comment." This is big news. Peter Doocy is live at the White House on this. So what are they saying there about this?
Martha, that they're not surprised, but that this doesn't change anything. And an administration official inside is reiterating that the Iranians still must dismantle the technical connections that would allow them to enrich uranium to 20% bomb level. And they're also saying this, quote, "We expected that the Iranians would need to spin this for their domestic purposes and are not surprised they are doing just that." And yesterday, though, we heard the press secretary, Jay Carney, make crystal clear that the whole point of this deal and lifting sanctions on Iran is to make sure that they can't build a bomb.
By offering in a way that is 100% reassuring to the P5+1 and our international partners and allies that they will not pursue and cannot pursue a nuclear weapon. There will be an opportunity for Iran to end its isolated state.
But just a few hours after Carney said that at the White House, we heard Iran's foreign minister say this: the White House version both underplays the concessions and overplays Iranian commitments. So there are a lot of moving parts here, and we also know that separately, the Iranians were uninvited from those Syria peace talks for backing Assad, and that led Iran's foreign minister to tell CNN that right now his relationship with Secretary of State Kerry, very difficult. Martha.
A little friction there. So what are Republicans saying about all of this, Peter?
Martha, we're hearing a lot of frustration from Republicans who never wanted to negotiate with Iran in the first place.
Most of us are not shocked that Iran's deal is not going to keep them from going nuclear. Of course, they're going to do what they want to. They've just bought 6 months without harassment from this administration to go ahead and finish going nuclear.
But lately, up the street at the Hill, we have been hearing from many Republicans and Democrats who support new sanctions on Iran. The White House has been saying that would not be helpful, but so far Senate Democrats who control the Senate have not publicly ruled out such a vote. Martha?
Tough spot. Peter, thank you very much.
Aides to President Obama insist they saw this one coming.
We've said before that we expected the Iranian government to spin the commitments they made under the Joint Plan of Action for their domestic political purposes.
At issue are comments made this week by top Iranian leaders, including Foreign Minister Javad Zarif, who told CNN in an exclusive interview the White House is overselling just how far his country has agreed to go in the interim deal to scale back its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief.
The White House tries to portray it as basically a dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. That is the word that they use time and again. But we're not dismantling any centrifuges. We're not dismantling any equipment.
Zarif did overstate the number of times the administration used the word dismantle. But earlier this month, President Obama said in a statement, Iran will for the first time start eliminating its stockpile of higher levels of enriched uranium and dismantling some of the infrastructure that makes such enrichment possible. But in a separate interview with CNN's Fareed Zakaria, Iran's president said, no way.
So there will be no destruction of centrifuges, of existing centrifuges?
No, not at all.
Asked about those comments, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney said the Iranians are playing semantics.
How Iranian officials characterize this for a domestic audience, it matters far less to us than what they're actually doing.
The White House says the destruction of centrifuges has always been a goal of a future, longer-lasting agreement, not the interim deal that's just been implemented. It's a case the president made last December.
They don't need some of the advanced centrifuges that they currently possess in order to have a limited, peaceful nuclear program.
Now, as for Iran's call for the U.S. to release the text of the interim nuclear deal, the White House resisted that advice, saying it's already made that available to members of Congress. And as for those accusations of engaging in political spin on the Iranian part, two key congressional leaders from both parties told me, Wolf, that they believe the White House is also putting its best face on the agreement because of domestic pressures here in Washington.
Here's what I don't understand, and you served in the State Department for a long time.
I did.
Under a whole bunch of presidents. There isn't a text of an agreement between the United States, the other members of the UN Security Council, Germany, the P5+1 as it's called, and Iran. They've got a text for what Iran has to do and what the rest of the world has to do, but they don't make that text public.
Well, they have the Joint Action Plan, which summarizes
with the summary, but we want, why can't they share with all of us what the Iranians themselves know? Well, if Rouhani knows the text, if Zarif knows the text, why can't the American public know the text?
And the American public should. Let the sun shine in on this one. I mean, withholding the text is only going to create the perception that, in fact, something administration is hiding something, which I don't think is true. There are imperfections in the agreement, so trot them out.
Yeah, I want to see if the word dismantle is in that text. Then we don't know because they're not releasing the text.
Right. Me too.
All right.
Will Israel act alone?
Israel will act alone. Israel's acted alone in its history. It's gone after the Syrian nuclear reactor. It's gone after Saddam Hussein's nuclear weapons program. It has certainly acted alone in 1967 when it was surrounded by Arab countries devoted to its destruction. This is nobody should misjudge Prime Minister Netanyahu's commitment to stop Iran from building a nuclear weapon.